Well, welcome back to WRPL, the podcast where we talk about all the things we are watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name is Ben.
And I'm Steve.
Today we don't have much, but we got probably a lot to say about both. We are doing The Umbrella Academy Season 3 and The Boys Season 3. I think we should probably start with Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, how are you doing, Steve?
I'm doing well, Ben.
Anything special going on in your life?
No, not really.
Yeah, let's, this is, as always, spoilers for everything. The season was out in the first day, so it's your own fault if you're listening to this.
We gave you a couple of weeks.
Yeah. This is episode 40. Congratulations for reaching 40, Steve.
I know it was a long, hard road, but we made it,
Yeah.
Now in the Twilight years, or Twilight episodes.
Yeah, we only got about 40 left, and then we got to retire.
Yeah, we're over the hill, man.
So, where do we start on Umbrella Academy? How did you like the first and second season?
I like them quite a bit. I like the dynamic between all the characters. The classic group of misfits, and they're all kind of assholes in their own way, but they're the meanest to each other, but in their meanness there is love for each other, and they all look out for each other, even though at times they seems like they genuinely want to kill each other.
Yes.
And sometimes even try to.
Mm-hmm. And I find it funny that from episode 1 of season 1 to now, it's like 25 days or something. It's like the shortest amount of time has passed. Now, when they went into the past, there was some time that had, what's the word?
Past.
Yeah, I guess. There had been
time passed in the past.
In the past, they were able to hunker down a bit more. Some people were back further than others. Mm-hmm. But I think for the shortest amount of time for a character, it had only been like 25 days total.
Right.
Yeah. What a crazy, 3 weeks.
It's funny because I think the shortest amount of time is for the character who's looks the youngest, and you would think would age the fastest. But I gotta say, they did a good job of keeping this kid looking 5. Because like a lot of you look at something like Stranger Things, and obviously that's been a couple years, but those kids look drastically different.
Oh yeah.
Than when they started versus this kid who I feel like has maintained that boyish look throughout the whole show. Yeah,
you could tell he's getting older, but it's not some huge leap where his voice drops suddenly and he sounds like Barry Manilow now.
Yeah. I guess it helps that his character, when you first see him, he's a 15, 16-year-old boy, whatever it is, but he has the mind of a 90-year-old man or whatever it is. So the fact that he's able to sort of act as an adult within these other characters, I think, helps that transition. I don't know.
Yeah. He's my favorite. Who's your favorite student? Five is the best for me.
Yeah. 5's probably my favorite. I understand the love for Klaus because he's, the funny weirdo. I kind of have a soft spot for Luther just because I always love big, dumb, lovable oafs.
Yeah.
But 5 is the most interesting character and has a great power, and I like his dynamic. So
for season 3, we start off. They have escaped it was the 60s, right? That they were stuck in, or the 50s.
Early 60s.
60s, yeah, because it was Kennedy.
Yeah.
They've escaped that past, come back to what they think is their present, but it looks like their father has adopted other kids instead of them. There's a whole other there's a whole other family of 7 powered teens living in the house, which happens to also have a member that they had years ago and died when they were young, which kind of set the break of the family up, set it off. But he's a completely different character this go around. Ben is such an obnoxious character. I hated him.
Yeah, Ben was the worst.
So,
and then on the show, Ben is also the worst.
So they're called the Sparrow Academy, and apparently because Hargreaves met them in the past and knew their names, he specifically sought out other kids so they would not be part of the family, which I thought was hilarious and a real good dick move. And why wouldn't you if you were him? Like, if your goal is to create this amazing superhero team and you see what your options are, no, I'm going to go with the weird flesh cube and not this annoying time jumping guy.
So what do you think of the new team members?
The
and their
Sparrow
powers?
Academy.
Yeah, the Sparrow Academy.
All right, well, let's go through them. So number 1 is I don't know names, so we'll just describing.
Number 1, just handsome, strong guy.
Handsome, strong, athletic dude.
He's the same as Luther, but doesn't have a gorilla body.
Yes. Number 2 is Ben, right?
Yeah.
So he has the power of tentacles in his chest. So you can open up a dimension to get some Lovecraftian tentacles, which I love that power.
Of course you do.
And it's great that his name's Ben and he has tentacle powers. And to be clear, I like squids. It's a squid thing, not a hentai thing. They're just my favorite animal. And then number 3, we have Crow Lady.
Crow, yeah, she's cool.
She's blind, but she can see through the power of the crows she manifests.
She summons out of her back.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be lots of different birds. Mm-hmm. And I guess it really doesn't matter because, like, kind of a bird is a bird is a bird, just depending on size.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think it probably could have been annoying, but it might have been fun if, like, she kind of lost all of her senses. Like, she was just, like, she didn't have... She was essentially a head without any sort of facial features.
Okay.
But, like... The crows saw, some birds, the eagle saw for her, the parrot talked for her.
The vulture would smell for her because they have really good smell.
She maybe had different birds to do all of her different senses. And then when she summoned all 5 birds together, they formed Birdtron and defeat any enemy.
It'd be funny having one bird that's her voice, and it's just like those mimicking birds that just copy what we say. That could be a very annoying character.
Oh, yeah. They did the smart thing.
Yeah. 4...
I think... Was that the cube?
No, he's 7. He's the last one.
He's the last one, okay.
Which is, I found very interesting that this weird, powerful cube that they don't give enough backstory to is the weakest of the team. Christopher, yeah. So I think 4 is Gravity Girl.
Sloane.
Yes, Sloane, who can just change the gravity of you or herself, so flight, and she can pick things up. 5 is Spitting Girl.
Okay, yep.
So she could just make you
hallucinate
stuff. Not quite sure if she controls some of it or if it just kind of manifests whatever is going on in your head.
I mean, but she can see
what you see,
which is interesting.
Yeah. And then I can't remember his name, but he like the Blob, the Juggernaut sort of character where you attack him and he just redirects the power back at you. He's my favorite. Him and Spitting Girl. Those two were my favorite powers because everything else I've kind of seen in some sort of capacity. They were really unique, and I was really interested to see what they were going to do with them.
I like the idea of not only is his power to like take damage, and have that reflect back at the people. So like, you know, I'll kick the guy and my leg gets shattered because it just bounces back. But I like that it seems like he still physically kind of takes the damage. Like that's why his face is kind of melting. Because
we had a little bit of a flashback and he wasn't nearly as messed up. And he really is this time. So I do think he is kind of taking it and his body just manifests it in its own way.
Yeah. Which I thought was like, I like when powers have a negative effect to the user. But, you know, it doesn't seem to bother anyone else other than, I mean, I guess you could argue that the girl with the birds lost her sight to summon birds or something.
But if you have a bird that can sit on your shoulder that you can see through, you're good.
She seems fine with it,
So when this started, I always forget every season how goofy the show is, which is weird because it's like there's goofy things in almost every single episode. But when they are about to have a big rumble and then it's a big footloose dance off, at the first 3 seconds I said, what the fuck is this shit? I don't remember it being this weird. And then things started coming back to me and like, no, it's always been this weird.
Yeah, I think every single first episode has some sort of dance sequence.
Because I remember in season 1, but I don't remember season 2.
Yeah, I don't remember season 2's either. But yeah, I think that's just kind of a staple for the show now is somehow, some way, these characters are going to dance.
Yeah.
And
I love it.
Yeah, the opening scene on this, I was like, this is great. And I loved everyone's reaction to it. Like Diego just going like, holy shit, we're really good. But then you find out, it's on his mind. Just seeing like when shows are super serious and can have this really fun moment of levity and work it in an organic way, you're just like, oh, this is a nice moment of levity and fun for, you know, a show where every season is the end of the world.
And this first episode was really good at showing me shit I hate, and that happens constantly in TV, is if you just would have a rational conversation where everybody can just chill out for a second, you could solve all your problems. But they instantly are like, this is our house. What are you doing in our house? Okay, you guys just went through time and understand the ramifications of like a butterfly effect. And then you come back, you clearly see that your pictures aren't anywhere. These people don't know who you are. Something happened in time, but they're just so stubborn. Like, what are you doing? Just get out of our house. And it's like, well, I guess we better fight about it. When if someone just said like, look, we went through this crazy thing with time. This was our house. Something happened. And I know then you don't have conflict. But sometimes it's so frustrating to be like, you guys could all work together. This can be really advantageous for everyone if you just take your smartest people and have a conversation. But like, no, we gotta make the stakes all crazy and split the family up and make them go do separate things.
Yeah, but and then you have characters who will like break off. It's like, okay, well, that, you know, you have your first big conflict and they break off. It's like, I think, well, let's go. There's the one character who's like, well, let's go talk to him and see if we can work it out. And everyone's just like, no, that's stupid. They tried to kill us. And you're just like, well, yeah, but that's because we didn't try talking to him first. It's like, well, we're not going to do that. You're not in charge here. I'm angry about it. And so they're like, okay, well, then they break off to try and have a conversation. But now they're mad at the person who broke off to have the conversation, even though the person who had the conversation, they're like, okay, this is a good idea. But then the other guys on the other team are just like, well, they had a conversation and they brought a good point, but fuck them. It's just like, it's just nonsense. It's everyone just working against each other to work against each other, which I guess you could say, that's politics, baby.
Yeah,
but
I guess.
It's still frustrating when you're just like, aren't you guys supposed to be the smart, brave heroes? And like, all of you guys are here to save humanity, and you just all are dickheads. Yeah,
you're there for a day, and Diego's already going like, let's go after them and murder them. Like, calm down. Let's assess the situation first. So I really like that scene when, at the time, it's Vanya and number one in the diner, just like, hey, look, let's be smart about this and let's work this out. And he's just like, you're not even the number one, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, maybe not, but I'm going to call you out, just you and me, and we'll see if you're able to take me. And I like how threatening she can be, and everybody seems like kind of a, what?
He can be.
Well, at the time, it's still Vanya. So I'm just saying that for the time. I lost my train of thought. But
it's nice seeing her being threatening. And
and it's like, even though they didn't work well as a team, and maybe the Sparrow Academy has a better power set to work with each other, the Umbrella Academy really only needs Vanya to do really anything. And so, as you mentioned, Vanya is no longer Vanya. Vanya is Victor. Elliot Page has transitioned in real life, and so they did the same with his character. I was unsure what they were going to do. It's easy enough. They're all actors, and they could say, oh, Elliot, do you just want to continue playing this character as a woman, or what do you want to do with it? And it's a good opportunity for her to, have the representation and have time to sit and talk about it and not just gloss it over or go, let's pretend and let's put Elliot Page in a wig and just have status quo. So it was good, and I didn't feel like it beat you over the head.
No, I think that's the biggest compliment I think you can give to this storyline, because, of all the shows to do it in, this show makes perfect sense to do it in because of how weird and strange. Not that.
So trans people are weird and strange.
Don't do this. But you can do anything in this show, and it's an easy write around. What I like the best about it is, like when Victor first came out to like the group or whatever, they were just like, he's like, you guys cool with that? And they're like, yeah, whatever. And then that was the end of the conversation. I was like, wow, that was nice. And it was just such an easy acceptance.
And you'd have Luther say like, Vanya, and then like, Victor, who's Victor? I'm like, Vanya's Victor now. Oh, okay. Yeah. And that's it.
And then Luther goes back and it's like, he wants to throw you a party to show you we love you and that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, that's really nice. And then, so the only person that she really has like a long conversation, or God damn it, he only has a long conversation with is
Allison,
who like, being the only other girl on the team at the time, it's like those two would be the closest and would have a nice conversation about it. It's like, I'll love you no matter what. So I think how that was handled within the dynamic of the group was fit really well with the show.
Yeah.
And also didn't just like beat you over the head with it. Just like, look what we're doing. We're so cool and liberal, and we're all this other
Look
stuff.
how woke we are.
Yeah. It was just all in one episode, essentially, and knocked it out. And it's like, you don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
And it was just Victor from then on. It was great.
Yeah. So, plot, once again, end of the world. There's a thing. Gotta stop the thing. I think that's one of the bad things about this season. It is another end of the world plot. And if I guess I knew from beginning to end of every season that was the main thing, they were always saving the world, I could kind of get behind it. But now it just seems like, here we go again. I wish they kind of took this in a different route. I think there was a lot of potential of what they could do. And we'll probably get into that. But with every season of Umbrella Academy, I think they always start really strong. They're really interesting. We get to a certain point and something happens that you're not expecting. And then it goes down a different route. And then you go, oh, okay, I see where this is going. This is unique, not what I expected. Then it takes another turn. I'm like, oh, okay, I wouldn't have done that, but okay, that's cool. Let's see where this goes. And by the end, you're in a place that's so foreign from where you expected it to go that it seems out of left field. Like, and every season does this. It's like potential, and then their own personal story kicks in, and it, I don't want to say tanks it, but it really goes downhill quick. The last few episodes, I think, of every season are not nearly as interesting. Yeah, you got like big action sequences and the big end of the world stakes, but it just comes down to like, this is not as neat as what I guess I had built up in my own head, you know, because I'm a creative genius and I have better ideas than the people who created their own stuff. But I really thought this was going to be they're going to become the villains of this world. They have a conversation about how the Sparrow Academy haven't had like a real threat in years, and this would be good. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. You have these heroes who are kind of forced to be the villains in this new world. No matter what they're trying to do to solve whatever problem, they look like the bad guys in the real world. But really the Sparrow Academy are a bunch of dickheads, and it's like, okay, that's a cool dynamic. And then boom, they kill off number one. And was it the first episode or second episode?
First or second, yeah.
Yeah, he's just gone. Oh, well, that's kind of interesting. And then I thought like, well, maybe they would like try to recruit some of them, and then you start killing off more and more of the Sparrow Academy, and you go, oh, okay, this isn't really about superhero teams and the world, but I really kind of wanted to know more about the world they were in and what the Umbrella Academy could have done if they would have stayed on track. So I think this is one of the stronger seasons, but like every season, kind of a not so great ending.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the strongest. It might be the weakest. Here's the thing: it's just like there's so much content now. I often just kind of forget large chunks of seasons, so it's very hard for me to go like definitively like, oh, this one, and this one. But I think what made the first one great is because you were introduced to this whole new cast of characters and this wacky, insane like time traveling society organization or whatever. It was just all new and weird and cool. And then 2, I always like time travel stories where it's like, oh, are they going to be the ones to assassinate Kennedy and like how all that kind of stuff works? And then this one, they're not doing any of that fun stuff. They're all hanging out at a hotel. Like, there's still like fun, cool ideas. Like, I love the idea of here's a hotel that has a doorway to another dimension that leads to a replica hotel that's just filled with murderous samurai dudes for some reason. And I like that they were together a lot. But yeah, I wanted to know more. I wanted to see more of the Sparrows and what this world was and what but it's just like they just hung out at the hotel and were angry at each other the whole time.
And they're always angry at each other. They're always fighting.
Yeah, and I liked that Klaus, how I liked his training on how I like seeing characters train and heighten their powers, and him and Vanya were the only two to do that this season. I thought like, oh, this would be the season where they all, I mean, I guess Allison, her powers also, like everyone's powers are getting enhanced, but
except for maybe Diego. How do you enhance aim, you know?
Diego and Luther, I don't think got any stronger.
Nah.
But I don't understand. I don't remember how Allison's power got, unless it was just like her anger, because she could just yell like "Go away," and they would go
Without
away
saying,
without saying "I heard a rumor."
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just like the blast from the Harlan Vanya. Who cares?
Yeah.
So like there was some fun stuff in it for sure, but
I think
story wise, I thought it was lacking. And back to your, I think they could have. I think you said something earlier about like I wish they went in a different direction. But like, so after the season was over, scrolling through YouTube, something came up where it talked about like in the comics, Hotel Obsidian, or the other dimension of it, whatever, was actually where they stored a bunch of supervillains that were too dangerous. I was like, oh, that's a cool idea.
Cool, yeah.
What's that about? I know nothing of the story of the comic books, but I was like, oh, well, what would that season have been like if they, or at least at the end of this season, they go through that door and it isn't samurai. It's like, oh, this is just a hotel full of bad guys that, if they got into our world, that would be super bad.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be end of the world stakes, but it wouldn't be just some pulsating bomb or whatever that would just destroy everything. It's like, oh, and then at the end of the season, they get through the door. And then that's the tease for next year.
Yeah. They've always neglected to show the other children who were born on the same day as them. Like, their dad got them or got the Sparrows, but there's still a bunch more out there. But we haven't seen what those characters do to the world. Have they try to keep their powers hidden? Have they gone off and do their own things? I wish we want to see, because it was a total of like 30 or 60 or something.
I want to say it was like 36, but
yeah,
it's probably more than
like
that.
So there's another 20 of these people. What happened with them? And also, one of the things I thought I was really excited for this season was, so the dad never got them. They're out there in the world doing their own thing. Like, cool. So Victor will be in Russia and probably doesn't speak any English and maybe is a swimmer like his mom. And we'd get to see everybody's parents. We'd get to see the lives that they lived if they never were adopted. I'm like, wow, that's going to be so cool, having these actors play these very different roles than what they already are.
Agreed.
But then it's just like, no, Harlan killed him. He was real mad that his mom died, and then he like unmade us somehow. Okay, cool. So it's like, once you get that potential of like, ooh, I'd love to see, is like, what's Diego like? What was Five like? And then have them meet themselves. But it's just like, no, you don't get that. Sorry. Fuck. Potential.
Yeah.
And then so by the end of this one, once again, Daddy's fucking him over, and they go to another timeline, and Dad's just like a multi-billionaire. He like owns the city or whatever. It's just his name's all over the buildings. And it's just like, is it just going to be more of the same for the next one? If it's another end of the world thing, I'm going to be very upset. We've done it 3 times now. Let's move on.
Well, maybe it's not an end of the world thing. It's how do we restore the world thing?
Yeah.
It's like, how do we go back and fix everything? And if that's go back and kill our earlier selves, or
sure,
Five kills his original self, so he never exists. So the time, whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
But I mean, I still enjoy the show. I have a good time. I like all the characters, and I even enjoyed like if Sloane becomes part of the team.
Yeah, I like Sloane.
Yeah, I think she's adorable, and she's like the fact that she's seems nice all the time. It's like, oh, that might be a good thing, and I'm glad. Like, I mean, I thought it was a little silly that her and Luther just fell in love in a day.
Yeah, but it was so sweet.
But yeah, it was so sweet. I was just like, you know what, I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
And Luther's kind of, a big
dumb animal.
big dumb animal, and she's very pretty.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I
thought their wedding was real sweet, and I like that.
It was very
like
cute.
Everyone agreed to be nice.
And just her finding out that like he lived on the moon, and her being so excited about that. It's like you could see the genuine interest that they have in each other. It was very cute. But a character I did not like this season was Allison. I get it. Your daughter was unmade, and your world is unraveling, but she's acting so irrational to like save this timeline that doesn't exist, willing to like go off and do her own thing or go against people. Same with Victor. Like, we got to turn Harlan over to the Sparrow Academy. Otherwise, the entire world, the universe is going to be destroyed. No, we got to save him.
We don't trade live, Captain.
Like, okay, if the entire universe goes, he goes as well. Either way, this dude is dying. Yeah. I hate that sort of like, I have the moral superiority. I'm doing the right thing, even though I'm willing to sacrifice everyone that ever existed.
Yeah, that was the main... when I was watching with my wife, she was constantly saying that over and over again. She's like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's like, I understand the concept of like, you know, imagine it's like, it's your child. It's like, I'm not going to kill my kid to save the world. Mm-hmm. You could maybe sort of pull that dynamic a little bit, but just like, oh, this kid who I knew for a little bit and I loved his mom, it's like, the fate of the planet, the fate of the universe,
all mankind.
It's like, but no, we got some time.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
So frustrating. So, yeah, those two, they really kind of rubbed me the wrong way this season. And like I said, the potential, there was so much potential. And not that what they did was bad, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. And I think what I was expecting is better. So, and I know what's better for the world. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think I wish Victor was just a more fun character. Not necessarily you want a show where everyone is like cracking jokes. You don't want it to be the MCU where every single person's funny all the time. But I just never really gravitated towards Vanya or Victor. They were just always the kind of downer character who always felt apart from the group, and like that dynamic can be okay, but after 3 seasons of it, and you're just like, all right, like when Vanya was being accepted by the family, I loved all that stuff. So I just wanted Vanya to like have a good time and like everyone to like at least get along sometimes. But Victor Vanya just isn't like an enjoyable character. I feel like, and it's always just, well, the first season she was the villain. The second season, they tried to give her a love interest, and then those people essentially die. And then this season, she's going against the group, and they all kind of, and Allison fucking hates her, and I don't know. I just wish they had something fun for Victor to do at this point. Yeah. And normally, previous seasons, I really liked Allison.
Yeah.
But this was the season where it's just like, you know what, Allison's not going to be fun to be around.
Yeah, and I hate that haircut she gave herself. Real bad.
You know what I was upset about is I liked the moment Diego and her were in the car and they're just like, we go in there, there's people that don't like the people like us. We could like blow off some steam, and they go in there, and then the episode ends. I was like, we're not gonna see them fight anybody.
Yeah.
And then I was so annoyed because I wanted to see them go in. I thought that could be like a really fun action scene.
Yeah.
And then we only get a little
flashback
glimpse of their like faces as they're like punching the air, and you don't really see anything. It's like, not that I necessarily wanted to see a whole scene of like bloody intense violence of like them cutting neo-Nazis' heads off, but like it would have been a fun like, beating up racist thing.
Yeah, it's like we got a whole like bathroom fight between Five and do you remember her name?
Oh God, Vecna.
And it's like, did we really need that fight scene? I'd rather it would have had that biker fight scene than that bathroom fight.
I did like Five and her together though, like when they were like going to the commission. Is that what it's called, right?
I think so.
Whatever. I like that I like their back and forth of just like, I hate you, but like we're both smart and capable people who need to work together.
Yeah.
They weren't like undermining each other necessarily to one up each other. They're like, no, I'll call you a piece of shit, but we're gonna get the job done.
I really thought I just said his name. Harold? What's his? Harlan. That the thing with Harlan wasn't going to be he unmakes their parents. It was that he actually caused the births of everybody. Whatever freak out he has, that was his power. So they kind of created this like time loop of.
Oh yeah, that made sense.
Yeah, that's where I thought they were going with it, but I guess not.
By the way, her name's Lila.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What did you think of that whole son subplot
with Ashtray?
With Ashtray, yeah.
Euphoria. It was fine, and it gave something for Diego to do, and I really like Diego in this season compared to others. he's a little grating sometimes, and he still has that sort of let's go, let's kill attitude. But pairing him up with a kid, I think
kind of humbled him a little bit. Yeah. I agree. I think it worked too. And it's nice to know that Ashtray, I'm just going to call him Ashtray because I don't care about the actor's name, can act. I thought he was really good in this show. And not that I disliked him in Euphoria, but it just seemed like, the reason he's not speaking not speaking much is because, like, this kid probably just can't act. But it's good to know that he can, and I thought he was good.
Yeah, he was good.
I thought more was going to happen with, and I mean, maybe this is all set up for next season as well, but when Five runs into himself and he's, like, old and in the iron lung thing, and he's just like, let the world end, and he had to, like, go back and see Pogo, who's tattooing stuff onto him. It's like, I thought all that was going to, like, come into play, and you'd, like, know what that was all about, but really it was just, so he could recognize that the floor had the spots to activate this machine, which the special effects in that, like, ending bit, with I was like, what is this? Like, I can understand, like, it's some alien spacecraft that's beyond human comprehension, so it just looks ridiculous. But just, like, it seems like they put a lot of money and cool ideas in the show, and then that whole sequence just looked so cheap. It was really odd that that's, like, kind of where they ended it on.
Agreed. You got anything else for this?
I guess just, what are you hoping for season 4, and are you excited for season 4? Do you think it goes to 5? Do you want...
I could see the next one being the last one. Netflix is canceling a lot of their stuff, and this is probably one of their more expensive things. I could see them asking them, wrap it up. 4 is your last one. And I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think any show that gets to 3 seasons, like, you had a good run, good or bad.
Shall we move on?
Sure.
All right. So, The Boys Season 3 also came to an end just a few days ago.
What, do you want to talk about Diabolical first, or do you want to...
Sure, we could talk about Diabolical first.
I just wonder what makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, because
I think they came out before Season 3.
They did, yeah. So, let's talk about The Boys Diabolical, which are animated shorts based off of either... the actual The Boys TV show. We have one of the shorts is based off the comics. We have some that are just, I guess, are in universe but aren't really canon. We got a lot of different animation styles, very much like Star Wars Visions or like, say, the Animatrix. I love The Boys Diabolical. I love pretty much every single episode. There's one.
I think I know what it is.
It's the lowest rated one. It's not great, but I rewatched these again recently.
Okay.
And I think, especially animation style, I like it. It's we'll get to that one. We'll do it. But these are all really fantastic little stories and very different. The variety is amazing in art style and stories. And seeing who wrote some of these, like Andy Samberg wrote one of these, and Aisha Tyler wrote one of these. They're really fun, and this kind of ties in with there's a Boys spinoff coming where it's like a kind of like a X-Men school, a school for gifted youngsters. So it'll be nice to see more Boys stories without focusing on oh my god, we gotta kill Homelander, which I love that story, but let's see what else is going on in the world. So, yeah, looking forward to that. Probably should have mentioned that at the end of it, but so Boys Diabolical, episode 1. You got a list up?
I do. The first episode is Laser Baby's Day Out.
So, play on Baby's Day Out. A Vought employee is working with testing babies with Compound V, and this one has laser vision, and it's kind of failing all of the tests, but he's bonded with it. This is a classic cartoon of not a lot of voice acting, just a couple of gasps and baby coos and some grunts and screams and stuff like that, but no real spoken dialogue. The baby's going to be terminated because it's not using its powers. Or it's not under control of its powers, so he sneaks the baby out, and
How
wacky
ensues.
Yeah,
the baby goes on a killing spree.
Yeah, and people
but
just
not
start
intentionally. Just like
he'll sneeze and he'll shoot lasers and he'll blow the security guard's head off, and it's just like Baby's Day Out, where they're trying to catch this baby who happens to stumble onto a construction site, and the bumbling buffoons keep tripping over cement buckets, but the baby's able to cross huge gaps because a beam on a crane just so happens to go by as it's walking off the edge. I love this episode. I think it's classic Tex Avery sort of cartoons. Very Roadrunner.
I think it's of all these, it makes the most sense to be the one that you open with, because it's fun and bloody. It just like kind of really sets the tone for everything else to come.
You think it's gonna be kind of like cutesy and dumb, but it gets pretty violent real quick.
Yeah. So I think it's a great opener for the series.
And number two,
an animated short where pissed off soups kill their parents.
Yeah, this is the one I always forget about.
This one was done by Justin Roiland of Rick and Morty fame, and in
that style too.
And in that same style, and just from the animation alone, it's him.
Yeah.
But then a lot of the jokes as you're watching, you're yep, this is Justin Roiland for sure.
Yeah, this could have been an episode of Rick and Morty of just a weird universe where like a dude has his name's like Boombox or something. He has a giant speaker for a head that only plays Hootie and the Blowfish. Yeah. There's one with like boobs for eyes.
Yeah, I really, really like this one. This one was my favorite until the later episode, which we'll get into. Okay. Solely because I think comedy-wise it works, and I think, like you said, this definitely could have fit in Rick and Morty. Like if they were just flipping through the channels of interdimensional television, it's like, Soup Kids. Soup Kids. It just sounds like they eat soup. The Super Children or whatever.
Yeah.
And then their wacky antics. But yeah, I thought this one was a lot of fun, and I like seeing. You and I had this conversation before about like, oh, what if you just have like really dumb powers? Like, what would happen with it? It's like, okay, here's the house for wayward teens with dumb fucking powers. So I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the deaths are really, really mean, because these are kids who were promised, or I'm sorry, their parents were promised that their kids would become superheroes once they got Compound V. But they got really dumb powers. Like one person's in slow motion the whole time.
Mo Slow is my favorite character. I like Mo Slow.
There's one that's just a tongue. You have the lead. She is just a ghost. She can't touch anything, but she's like constantly feels like she's always hungry, but she can't eat. Sounds really, really torturous. There's someone named Papers. You could just find Papers. Real stupid. Typical Rick and Morty Justin Roiland jokes of like, this is the dumbest joke ever, but when you commit to it with his sort of voice, it's funny. It works. But so all these kids find out that they weren't born that way, they were made, and so they all decide to go and murder their parents. And they're pretty brutal. Some of them are like the boobs guy just shoots his mom. It doesn't even like use powers, just pulls out a gun and shoots his mom.
He doesn't really have powers.
Yeah, but she was like raising puppies and helping orphans.
Yeah, and they were like, are you sure this is your mom? And they're like, no, this is a place. And they're like, flashback, show us what she did. And then you just see like, she just severed these puppies and sewed them together or whatever. Just like this horrifying image. They're just like, Jesus Christ. And
then you have Christian Slater as like the narrator, and he had some of the funniest jokes. He'd just narrate what was going on around him and like trying to hit on the nurse.
That seems like such a you power. Like, yeah. Like if someone if we manifested superpowers, I could see you being the narrator, not necessarily as a
weird troll monster,
a weird troll monster in a wheelchair or anything. Yeah. But I imagine that's your power is to know the narration.
Good. Mo Slow, like stabbing his dad so slowly, so brutal.
Well, no, he didn't stab he choked his dad.
He choked his dad. He stabbed the woman.
His dad like woke up. He's like, oh hey son, what are you doing? He's like, I'm you're killing me. Oh, okay, I see what you're doing. Oh, the hands are getting a little bit tight there, bud. And just like he just kind of like let it happen.
Yeah,
I just thought that was fun.
Yeah, very, very brutal and very funny. Third one is, I believe, the comic one based on the comic, yep. Wild Blue Yonder.
I'm your pusher.
Okay, so this is where you see Butcher, you see Huey, but they're the comic book version.
Versions, yeah.
Huey looks like Simon Pegg, who he was based off of. And they're voiced by Simon Pegg and Jason Isaacs, I think.
Yeah.
But it's weird because it's like you have Homelander. He's voiced by Anthony Starr in all of them, even though that this one is based on the comics, not necessarily the show. Whatever. Just
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But they, their whole thing is they want to kill superheroes, so they find a drug dealer for superheroes, and there's a superhero named Wild Blue Yonder who flies real fast. That's his only power. He can just fly really, really fast. And he does like heroin anally, and he only trusts his dealer to inject him with it. So they're like, look, he's a weird pervert. He's a pedophile monster. You're going to put this concoction up his butt. And if you don't, we're going to, take you down. So they're inducting Wild Blue Wonder in...
By the way, his name is...
Wild Blue Yonder?
No, it's, according to IMDb, it's Great Wide Wonder.
Great Wide Wonder. Okay.
No blue.
Okay. They're just going to induct him into the, Superhero Hall of Fame. He's going to fly real fast through a hoop of fire held up by, a giant juggernaut type guy, made out of metal.
Yeah, Colossus meets Juggernaut.
Yes. That's pretty perfect. And also we see what's his name? Something like Jeff from Jupiter. He's like the Martian Manhunter killer character.
Yeah.
That didn't get translated into the live action. So yeah, the dealer gives him all these drugs and he goes nuts, and he is just going as fast and faster and faster and faster, and he misses the hoop and smashes right into Colossus Juggernaut and puts a big hole in him. But the animation in this one is so good, and having him smash up against him and start to crack and crumple as he's being blown through this guy's stomach was just beautifully disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't my favorite one by any means in terms of the story.
This is top 3 for me.
But animation wise, I really, really liked it, and I liked that it had specifically a connection to the comics.
Yes.
So that's what I liked about it. But I mean, I don't have anything else to say about that one.
Okay, yeah. Just a really nicely animated one, and I hope we get more animated boys, because I want to see comic book stories that we are not going to get in the show.
Yeah, because I've YouTube stuff from the boys, those 30-second or minute-long TikTok, YouTube, whatever things.
YouTube shorts.
Did you know this about the boys?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so I'll be learning comic book facts and the comic books are way crazier than the actual show is, which is saying something because of how crazy the show is. But yes, seeing how a lot of stuff plays out in the comic books, I was like, if they ever made an animated version that was strictly accurate, comic book accurate, I think that it'd be different enough to where I'd go okay, I'm not feeling like I'm watching the same thing again with just slight variations, because it is a lot of stuff has been put into the show but isn't translated the same way. So I think it'd be worth a watch to see if they just animated the whole thing like Justice League style.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think the next episode is the shit episode. No, not yet.
The next one is Boyd in 3D. This is the one where the guy uses the experimental cream and makes himself super handsome, and then
she uses it to make herself look like a cat person.
And then they become Instagram famous.
Yep.
Very reminiscent of Clayface kind of stuff in the Batman series. I thought this one was fun.
Yeah,
I liked this one, and I liked the twist at the end. I almost kind of wish it wasn't that, though. I kind of wanted... They should have just maybe played out the way it was supposed to.
What do you mean?
Because you realize it was all just a dream sequence.
Yeah, he's fucked up because of the... Yeah, if it was just they got off the drugs, they were neighbors and got together anyways, regardless of how they looked.
And Vaughn just screwed him over.
Sure.
But
it's like Clayface meets that Black Mirror episode with...
Bryce Dallas Howard?
No, with Wyatt Russell. With the video game. It all happened within a second. But...
Pretty much, yeah. I think this one might be in my top 3.
Oh, okay.
But I enjoyed this one quite a bit. I thought it was fun. And would you use cream that made you buff and handsome? And
sure. Yeah, as long as I knew it wasn't going to kill me. Wasn't
going to melt your face at the end?
Yeah, I would absolutely use it.
At least once. Would you make yourself a cat person?
No, I don't think I would.
But you'd fuck that cat.
I'd fuck that cat.
Hell
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Cut that.
No, I need everybody to know I would fuck a cat.
I wish there was more to say about it.
Yeah.
I guess it just talks about the idea of celebrity culture, and both of them, like, their relationship is, they were made perfect for each other, but fame got in the way, and Instagram likes and seeking attention, and
love yourself for who you are, because someone else is out there who will like you for you, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
All that dumb shit.
Yeah. Okay, episode 5,
BFFs. This is the lowest rated on IMDb out of all of them, with a 4.1, and I understand. And
is it your least favorite of all of them?
Probably.
Yeah, me too.
Because I like the animation style. I think it's cute.
The first 5 minutes of this, I was like, I really like this. I like Awkwafina. I like the look of it. I don't know. It reminded me of Steven Universe and Turning Red. If, you took this and put it in Pixar form.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I think this one could be really cool. And then she gets her power, and then I was like, oh, it's all downhill from here.
Yeah, she drinks this Temp V that she gets. Like, I really love the scene of where she's picking up the drugs and the guy's like manic talking to her and throwing the weed at her at the last second. And I love the shitty narcissistic friends that she makes. Like, there's a lot
Nicole
to like.
Byer as well. Yeah.
But then she drinks some Temp V, and then her shit comes to life, and she has a little friend.
I guess Compound V, right? Because
what did I say?
You keep saying Temp V.
I keep saying Temp V because it's just in this latest season.
Yeah.
They say Temp V so much.
But yeah, she farts, but her turd comes to life.
Yeah, she wakes up in the morning and goes to the bathroom.
Oh, okay, yeah. And she names the turd Areola.
Areola, or the turd names itself. I think. Like I think she says something like, I want to name you after my mom. Her name was Deborah, and she's like, oh yeah, that name kind of sucks. And then like do her hair, give her a little eyelash for her eye. It's just like, it's a cute little relationship, but it's just so fucking gross, because later on we find out like the Deep is after her, trying to get this Compound V back. And it's not that like her power is to create a single living poop. She can control all shit.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting. It's just gross.
I think there's a way, at least in the the live action boys, where you could have done this, where like, they're chasing someone down, and then it's like they don't know. It's like, oh, this villain just killed somebody, and they're in the sewers, and like, haha, we got you. It's like there's no escape, and then that's when you
underestimate my power.
Yeah, and then you see this like living turd or something like in Dogma or something just come at them.
Okay,
you can control shit. Like,
yeah.
I think that there's a funny bit you could do with it.
Yes,
but
it's almost too disgusting to even attempt.
I mean, they could have gone. I think the animation style helps because it's not a it's cartoony and silly looking, so like they don't look disgusting. It's not like she's like holding it next to her face, and she's never like gagging at the smell. Or it's like, it's not like they like bump each other on the cheek and then like, I love you, and then they pull away and there's like a brown spot
like
on her.
Mr. Hanky does when he kisses people.
But yeah, at the end where she tells her douchey friends to fuck off essentially, and goes home and is like, I'm gonna go hang out with my real friends, and then her whole room is just filled with like 30 turds that are all walking around talking. It's like, your room has to smell horrendous.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to be friends with turds that you've manifested, fine, but do it outside or something. Cheat your room.
Sorry, you're an outdoor turd. I don't let living turds in outside my house. But I, as stated many, many times before, I don't like Awkwafina. I think she's not very funny, and her voice is really grating. And I think that stands true to this as well. I don't think her voice fits this animation style. It's just a little too rough. I don't know. It just... and she wrote this, so it's not like they would get someone else for it. But I was going to skip it on my rewatch, but I thought, let's be fair. What if I just didn't like it the first time? And I did like it a lot more the second time I watched it. But I would say if I ever went through these again, I would definitely skip it.
Yeah, it's interesting when it's like, I wonder what the process was for making this. If like Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg went to people and they're just like, hey, we're doing this animated thing. We want you to write an episode. It can essentially be about whatever you want. It's like, oh, I can write my own episode and put myself in, get myself superpowers. What superpower would I want? Turd control.
Turd control, yeah.
It's like, I understand it's like, oh, you just want to make something funny, but I respect the self-control to not go like, okay, I'm going to make myself the greatest superhero who's ever lived, and then something funny happens. No, I'm going to make myself the worst possible. Or, whatever. But, I mean, I wouldn't say this episode is as bad as people make it out to be.
Sure.
You know, I think it's got, a 4.6 over there?
4.1.
4.1, yeah. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's a perfectly fine piece of animation and silly bit, but in comparison to everything else, it is the worst.
Yeah.
And I think most people just don't like shit stuff, unless it's like Mr. Hanky on South Park. But that one, I think, tracks a little bit more.
Yeah, there's a limit to shit humor.
Yeah.
So episode 6 is Nubian versus Nubian. And so this, what was it? Prince Nubian and Nubia?
Yeah, Nubia and Prince Nubian.
Yeah. So just showing, like, kind of the uncreativity of Vought. They have these two, quote-unquote, Nubian superheroes. They meet when they're young. They hit it off. And then they get married, flash forward, they have a kid.
They are both very attractive, I'll give them that.
Oh, yeah, beautiful people. But life isn't as good years on, and the daughter is trying to get them to, rekindle that spirit. And so she contacts, like, one of their villain. I think his name's Groundhawk.
Nighthawk.
No, I think it's Groundhawk.
Oh, really?
I
Look it up!
I got it right here.
You're probably
Voiced by
John DiMaggio.
So this one is like Don Cheadle and
Aisha Tyler.
Tyler.
It's Groundhog?
It's Groundhog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Who wrote and directed this?
Edit around this?
No, director Matthew Bordenave.
Sure.
Okay, sure. So yeah, it's just kind of, I like this one because it's just a simple story of you're a superhero, but you still have those sort of relationship and family issues of, whether it's having problems in the bed or going to therapy. It was just a nice, simple story within the world, and that's what I want from these things. It's like not necessarily has to be a focus of Homelander or the boys coming after anybody. It's just like there's a lot of superheroes in this universe that are just like low level, and they just kind of have their own thing, and it was nice to see. Not much to it though. It's not.
Yeah, no, it's not the most interesting per se, but I think this is kind of the stuff I wanted to see. It's like I wanted to see heroes in this world, but have essentially nothing to do with any of the characters we've seen before, other than like there's some connection to Vought. Vought is a connection to all these stories, because I didn't care about seeing Homelander pop up in any of these. I didn't care about seeing Butcher. I didn't want to see any of the people we've seen. I just wanted to see new stories in this world. So I think that's what I was trying to say earlier, is like seeing connective characters didn't interest me. I didn't want that especially with only 8 episodes. I wanted to see all brand new stuff. But
now, you say that until we get to the last episode.
Okay.
All right. So episode 7, John and Sun Hee.
This is my favorite episode.
Yes, directed or written by Andy Samberg, which I thought was
blew my mind because this episode isn't particularly funny.
No, not at all.
And it's actually really heartfelt and sweet. It's essentially Up if Up was violent with superpowers.
It's like Up and Akira.
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty much. And
I love that we can do with This Meets That with pretty much anything. It's just, I'm very happy that this is who we are.
But yeah, I thought this episode was great all the way through. This is exactly what I wanted to see. It had nothing to do with any of the major characters other than he breaks into Vought and steals a vial of Compound V. And, I like that the idea of the Compound V formed with her pancreatic cancer, and that became the villain, but she still had some
the
powers.
and
I don't know, I thought all of it worked really, really well. And I was like, I want to see Andy Samberg make more of this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Because, I love silly Andy Samberg, like Hot Rod and Never Stop Stopping and all that other stuff. But if he can, make really sweet, heartwarming, possibly even violent stuff, man, that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's good to see him branch out. So, yeah, this one was the best one by far. I thought it was the most complete story. and hit all the right marks for me.
Yeah, on my first watch through, I think I fell asleep during this one, and then didn't go back to like rewatch it, and just thought, that was kind of the boring one. But my second time going through, I really do love this one. I'd say top 4 for me. It'd probably be number 4 out of all of them. It's just really sweet, and I love that. Even though she is alive and she's having this horrendous thing happen to her, she's like looking at her husband like, what the fuck did you do? Like, you should have just let me die. This is a really bad thing that you did. And he's really guilty about it. But yeah, big Akira monster in the forest that she takes out with her crazy psychic powers. I love it.
And then goes to heaven at the end.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
And so episode 8 is 1 + 1 = 2. This is probably like my second favorite, maybe third favorite. And I get what you were saying about you want episodes that don't involve Homelander or Queen Maeve and any of that. But every time Homelander shows up, it's a good episode. And this is...
I think Homelander is a really good character, and I like if this one is canon within.
It is. This is the one that is canon. Yeah.
Like, I like the idea of, this is Homelander's first mission, and he fucks it up so bad, and you kind of get to see a little bit of his origins of like being the kid getting trained and tested on the secret facility. Like, you see why his mind breaks. Like, I respect it in that regard, but it's not something I necessarily needed to see. I just was hoping for more original stories. That's all.
Okay. I think
it's a perfectly good episode.
If this would have been in The Boys as a flashback, I think it would have been a very popular and memorable scene that people would talk about, like when Homelander just goes nuts and starts killing all the terrorists and the hostages at the same time.
Yeah, I don't remember how the first episode of The Boys plays out, but I could imagine if the very first episode, you see Homelander, you're Superman, he's doing great stuff, he's saving the world, he's all that stuff, and then at the very end of the episode, he sits down, and then he has like a flashback sequence. They're just like, Homelander's first mission, or like he opens up a file and just read it, and then it cuts to a flashback, and then he's like, oh no, Homelander's fucked up.
Yeah,
and that's kind of how it introduced.
I think in season 1, episode 1, it's like Queen Maeve jumps down, blocks the truck, and we get that cool shot of her going through, and then Homelander comes and punches a dude through his chest and like sends him up in the air, and he lands. Like, I think the first scene of Homelander is him killing a dude, but it's kind of, we don't know how crazy he is at that point.
He's killing a bad guy.
Yeah, he's killing the bad guy. So it's just like, oh, look, it's kind of an edgier Superman. Like, oh, no. It's much worse than that. But yeah, I really like this episode, and he fucks it up so bad, and Noir is there, and he thinks like, oh shit, Noir's gonna rat me out because he's the old head on the team, and I'm the fresh pup, and Noir's like, nah, bro, I got you. No one's gonna be left alive, and the one woman who gets away scot-free just snaps her neck. Good shit. Yeah, and
I like, especially after this newest season where, Black Noir. Homelander always felt like Black Noir always has my back.
Yeah.
It's like, it makes sense because Black Noir was the first person to have his back.
Exactly.
So I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, I really love this series. I hope we get more. We never got more Animatrix. It seems like things like this, it's always you get one season and you're done.
Unless you're Love, Death, and Robots.
Yes, but that's like not a spinoff of something that is its own thing. So I hope we get more of this, and I would be okay if we got ongoing series that were animated that just focused on certain characters and kept going, or it could just stay anthology like this. That'd be fine, but I want more.
All right. Now let's talk about
the real boys. Let's talk about more boys.
Not Diabolical boys, just regular boys.
Just regular boys, just normal run-of-the-mill boys. So, season 3 came to an end. It was the only thing that was getting me through every week at work. It was just when I get home Thursday night, I'll be up late enough that I can catch the 3:30 a.m. showing of The Boys. I was just with most of the shows, like Obi-Wan or Miss Marvel. I'm up anyway, so I always watch it as soon as it comes out, and I absolutely did it with this show. And I love this season. I think it's one of the stronger seasons. It may be my favorite, even if it's not maybe as interesting as some of the other ones. There's just a lot in here I love a lot until it gets to the end. I will say, not that they beefed it, but I don't love that last episode.
Yeah, I was hoping for more of the last episode. Yeah. Like, it honestly felt to me like this is the setup season for the big season 4 to me. I think Herogasm was fun. I'm glad it wasn't as horrifying as
it could have been way more
because
disgusting.
Before that episode even aired, I just kept hearing about like, oh, wait till Herogasm, wait till Herogasm. It's so wild.
Yeah.
But I thought like, yeah, there was like a lot of nudity and stuff, but it was pretty tame. I thought there was going to be like, especially for the show that had someone going into someone's pee hole.
Yeah, in the first episode.
Like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, that made me, like, my body changed watching that scene. And then him exploding out of it, it was horrifying.
Yeah.
Like,
it blows my mind, and I know we said this weeks ago, but that someone had to pitch it to a room full of people, that they approved it, then wrote it, then had to storyboard it, go to the computer effects people, have it maybe even a set built for the inside of the urethra. I'm sure it was a blue screen or whatever, but reference photos and it just going through the chain of command and everybody going, yes, this is a thing that we're going to put on TV. It blows my mind. You would think this would have gotten axed instantly and they would have said, can't you just make him go up his butt or go, up his nose or something? Does it have to be inside this dude's dick?
Sometimes, and I've said it on the show a bunch of times, sometimes less is more. Like, you can use subtlety.
Yeah.
Subtlety is a thing. And, or, use your imagination. Like, see him unzip the front of his pants, and then, the pants are down the ankles. Okay, his penis is out. I get that. And then it's like, be right back.
Yeah.
Do.
And then the guy makes an expression.
Yeah, and then you know what's going down. And that's like,
and you still do the expansion and exploding and killing person because they don't really care about violence as much. And you can still get that as a big shocking thing. But when you get the POV of a 1-inch man on a table looking up at a 2-story penis head, and you see like dust particles in the air, like they had to really understand the physics of what it's like to be that small in front of a penis.
Yeah, multiple people who spent thousands of hours in college to become computer designer, you know what I'm trying to say.
Special effects
experts spent hours upon hours looking at a dick. And that.
Yeah.
It's like I got paid a ton of money to put a little man inside another man.
It's you get the people for Interstellar who's like, let's translate real black hole data into the movie to make this as scientifically accurate as you can, and then you take that same science to go like, let's make a real big dick. I guess we should. We kind of like jumped into the end and the beginning all at once.
Well, from the beginning, as soon as, because that was basically the opening scene, essentially.
No, it's pretty. I'd say it's past the 2/3 mark. It's towards the end, or let's say about halfway. It's not at the beginning though, because we're still catching up with everybody. Where they're on the red carpet for the movie premiere, and
but I think that's. I would say it's less than 15 minutes in. No. I want to say it's before the title card.
I would say you're absolutely wrong.
You have a better memory than I do.
Yeah. But tweet at us. Tell us what that Steve's absolutely wrong.
But anyway, point is, after that first episode, I was just like, I don't know if this is what I have to look forward to for the rest of the season. I don't know if I want to watch this season. And luckily, the rest of the season wasn't that bad. Like, there's still some really fucked up violent things. Even some I'm just like, I kind of had to like squint my eye a little bit, like the shield face smashing stuff. Ugh.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. Her head popping that dude and having his mouth hanging out.
Oh yeah. That was at the end of episode 1, right?
It may have been episode 2.
Either way.
Like Huey getting his arm broken by Kamiko. Like, there's lots of bad stuff in the season, but it was just shocking.
Yeah. Which we shouldn't be surprised because the show's always done that. But it's because you watch it for 8 weeks and then you don't watch it for another 10 months. You can't, like, I don't rewatch this stuff, so I always forget about a lot of it. It's like, I know this, like, in my mind, I know the show's fucked up, but I forget how fucked up it is until I start watching it again. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like,
Yeah.
I'm watching this show?
I remember back in season 1, one of the most shocking things was the Deep stole that dolphin, and it goes flying through the windshield and then smashes on the ground and gets run over. And it was like, wow, that's a really dark, fucked up thing. Never would I have thought the levels that they would go to. Mm-hmm. So basic premise of season 4 is we got to kill Homelander. How are we going to do it? We hear there was a weapon that killed Soldier Boy, who was the Captain America of the past. He was just Vought's golden boy. And if this weapon still exists, we can kill Homelander. Turns out that weapon doesn't exist. It was all just a lie because they had to pretty much explode a nuclear reactor on Soldier Boy to get him to even submit so they can capture him and keep him as a winter soldier, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And then it's, oh, well, maybe we can use him to kill Homelander. And it's like, well, no, he's actually kind of worse. Well, he's the lesser of the two evils. Oh, crap. Maybe they're going to team up together because of a familiar relation. That's the thread throughout the entire show.
What did you think about Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy this season?
Great.
Yeah, I thought he was great too.
That dude has a voice, man. What a powerful, commanding... And he's done Superman in some of the DC animated stuff, and it's like, yep, that makes sense. He has a wonderful voice, and it's... I don't know him from Supernatural. I mean, I do know him from Supernatural, but I don't watch that show.
Right.
I never really knew how deep his voice was. I figured when I heard him in these voiceover things, he was, putting on a front and giving such a heroic sounding voice. But no, he just actually sounds like a goddamn superhero. It's great.
Yeah, the first time I ever saw him was on Smallville. He played like the football coach or something on...
a coach? He was you had to have been like 12.
No, he was like... I think he was like a college age sort of like assistant coach for Clark's football team, and he came in as kind of like a secondary love interest to
Lana.
Maybe I don't know. He did. I don't think he was on the show very long, but he was. I remember him on there, and then I remember him getting the Supernatural gig. And I've never seen Supernatural. I don't care about Supernatural.
No,
but like I never saw him do anything other than that show ever again. And we knew someone who was like obsessed with Supernatural, and she would always talk about it. And like I've seen so many when that show was on, it was just like those two are like the two hottest guys on TV. Mm-hmm. Like Supernatural just seemed like a big fucking deal. It's like I've never seen these guys in like anything else. It's like, are they even like good actors? And they are.
Yeah, at least one of them.
At least one of them is. Yeah, because I thought he was great. I thought he looked the part. He sounded the part. Mm-hmm. I like that he was a total asshole, but like not an inherently evil person.
No, you could talk to him. You could either talk him up or talk him down from something. Where Homelander is just dead set in his own mindset, his beliefs. You can't really convince him otherwise.
Yeah, and it made me wonder, like, is that the difference in like the social media age versus like, here's someone who like was famous and popular and like had people in his ear and was in movies and all that kind of stuff, but like was still I think grounded in reality. Mm-hmm. Where it wasn't like, oh, I can look at a screen and instantly have gratification of like 1 million people liking a photo I post. Mm-hmm. Versus all these people who were so media trained. Like here's just this guy who's like normal almost. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's an aspect they didn't really think about, but I just thought as a character, it's interesting to see the first, the original Homelander, mm-hmm. who's like obviously a terrible person, but not just intrinsically evil, who like will go on a killing spree because he feels like it. He's like, no, I'm only going to kill people who are in my way. Yeah,
he knows he's the biggest, the best, the strongest, but he doesn't need to murder you to show you that. So let's go through some of the things that happen.
A-Train is dealing with social justice. I appreciate what they try to do with A-Train, because I like the idea of like, what if some of these people actually learn from their mistakes, mm-hmm. or try and be better, and maybe it's just not in them because they've spent their whole life being trained for the media and all their mistakes, they get covered up. So it's like, oh, well, if I'm not responsible for my actions because I know big billion-dollar company is going to cover it up, I can just keep being a bad person. Mm-hmm. Like, I like what they tried to do, but the fact that I didn't really care about A-Train's storyline because I've seen him be an asshole for 3 whole seasons. It's like, yeah, he finally took down that racist piece of shit, Blue Hawk, but you're still a bad person, A-Train. Like I feel like you didn't learn anything. And like I liked when he apologized to Huey.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's nice. But and it's like, oh, you're kind of hoping for him to do some good, but then at the end it's like, nope, he gets his heart back, and his brother's just like, fuck off, and it's like, but I want to help you. It's like, I don't care. You suck.
Yeah, every time you try to help, you make things worse. So get the hell out of here. I really thought he would come in at the end and do some sort of big sacrifice, but no. Nope. Keeping him around.
And, he had the inkling of like, the second Supersonic was just like, when A-Train was just like, man, Homelander fucking sucks. I hate that guy. And Supersonic's like, well, let me tell you something. I was like, well, Supersonic's dead.
Yep, you're done.
A-Train's going to sell him out. And it's like, once he did that, I was like, there's no saving A-Train anymore. Yeah. And I feel like of all the characters, he's going to be the one who maybe comes in the end and helps in some big way. Like, I don't know what happens to his character. I'm sure his character dies in the comics.
Yeah, I think like everyone dies.
Yeah, everyone dies in the comics. But, I just don't know if I care about seeing A-Train be a good person at this point. And there's no help in the Deep. The Deep is I love the Deep.
I love the Deep.
I like how insecure he is and how much of a coward he is around Homelander.
But also still has an ego to think like he's able to do these things without his wife. I really wanted to see that Hannity interview that he was bragging that he was going to do. I wanted to see him fall on his face without having her whisper in his ears. So it's a shame we didn't get that, but yeah, I love
him just being in charge of like the tech department essentially.
Yeah, like the CSI people to do like crime investigation stuff, and so like, let's just put the Deep in charge of it.
And multiple bestiality scenes with an octopus. Yeah,
and it's like, I like that the octopus. It's not like the octopus just wanted the Deep. The octopus wanted his wife as well.
The octopus was very much a consenting party, at least according to the Deep.
Yes, you have to take his word for it.
Yeah, the octopus seemed real into it. But yeah, that was quite the thing.
And then like that he had like a built-in tank that he could just like scoop it out at any time. That was right at the headboard. Just good stuff. But going back to A-Train, I really felt like, when Maeve took the bottle of cologne that was like the knockout gas and chucked it far away, I think if they would have used that towards the end, like when they're already in Vought Tower, and say if A-Train was there, that he would be able to like go after it, catch it, come back, and then he has to choose like, who do I use it on, Soldier Boy or Homelander? You could have gotten a little bit of a redemption thing there, but he really didn't get anything. He just has to sit and wallow in the misery that his brother doesn't love him anymore and Homelander doesn't care about him being on the team.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't going to die when he killed Nighthawk, and his heart was exploding in his chest and he fell on the ground. But like, that seems like it would have been the way to get rid of A-Train. It's like, okay, here's this guy who's been terrorizing your neighborhood. You want to do some good, and you failed, and you can't fix the problem because you're beholden to this company. Where you're going to take matters into your own hands and kill him, and then doing that will cost you your life, and you can kind of die a hero.
Yeah.
Even if they cover it up and no one will know what you did, or then they'll just say, oh, he died in Herogasm or whatever. Like, I don't know. I think that's how you give him his redemption stories. Like, he doesn't really get to be the hero he wants to be, but at least he does something good.
Yeah.
But now it's like,
I think that they'll save it for the big drag out fight at the end. So let's talk about Temp V.
Okay.
Huey and Butcher start using temporary V to get powers, and boy are they lucky that they did not get some lame ass power. Like Butcher getting super strength and laser eyes to fight Homelander, pretty damn lucky of him. He could have gotten like turned into a puddle like the guy in but Diabolical. He could have been like absolutely worthless, or he could have just been like a guy who turns into glass, but lucky for him, he got at least somewhat equivalent. But I really love Huey's powers of teleportation, but you just can't bring anything besides, I guess, living organic material. Like if he was carrying a cat, would the cat go with him?
Because he carried Starlight.
Sure. So if he took a plant, like a potted plant, would the plant go, but then the pot would stay behind?
The plant in the soil would stay behind. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Might, I guess.
You mean the pot in the soil? Not
pot in
the
the
plant
soil? I'm sorry. Yeah, the pot in the soil.
Yeah, I'm just wondering like how how it works. But I really thought either Frenchie or Mother's Milk was gonna take it and get into the fight, but it would.
I'm glad they didn't.
They didn't. Yeah, it would betray who they are. So I'm going to talk about Frenchie and Kimiko real quick. I'd say they're one of the weaker things of the season. It was really sweet. I really liked their relationship.
It's about time.
Yeah, it was very cute. But when it got to the end and it was like, oh, choose between your wife and Kimiko. Who am I going to kill? And it's like, here we go again. Another situation when you have a gun to your head. You can't get out of it, but you still do. The bad guy gets away, but you're able to save both of them. And it felt like something we had seen before, and it wasn't all that interesting. And I just didn't love much of the Frenchie Kimiko stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the Kimiko dildo assassination stuff.
Sure,
I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just felt like, okay, well, they got to go to Russia to get the weapon, which turns out to be Soldier Boy. Now, how do we stretch that out in Frenchie's storyline? Well, with his connection with the Russian mob, I guess it is, and all that stuff. It just seemed like we need to give Frenchie and Kimiko something to do until the end, which is, fine, but certainly the least interesting. I agree with you. But like you said, I did like them finally like kissing and going like, let's run away together. And at the end, they're just like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're here. we're still here.
Yeah.
It's a democracy now, not a dictatorship or whatever. But yeah, it was fine. I liked Mother's Milk this season, though.
Oh, yeah. It was nice to see us get a little more of his family's backstory. We have stuff with his daughter and the stepfather.
Who's the real Homelander
Glenn or something.
Yeah.
Todd, I don't know, but the real piece of shit. And we get more of his...
Well, there's no evidence of him being a piece of shit other than being a fan of Homelander.
Which is enough.
Well, it's enough by the end when he...
Yeah.
Because, he didn't do anything bad. He's just like, oh, here... you would root for Superman. He doesn't have any inkling that Homelander's bad. It isn't until the end where he sees him blast some liberal cucks.
The little soy boy beta cuck, yeah.
And they're just like, yeah!
Since they still reflect this sort of, obvious lies that the people in power are on the news are telling you, and you're just drinking the Kool-Aid and believing it, where we see the same thing with Trump, and people just hear him spout nonsense and expecting it to be fact. So I say, yeah, he is kind of an asshole, and he did shitty things because he was too dumb to not see the writing on the wall and what was right in front of his face. Mother's Milk was great. He had some nice, powerful scenes and real sad. I think probably maybe one of the only characters besides Starlight that actually had to really get deep and cry and feel real emotional.
Yeah, I think actually Mother's Milk might be my favorite character on the show.
Yeah.
Other characters are more fun, but I appreciate the fact that he is this big, strong, tough guy, but he also is and they even said it this season where he's just where Butcher talks to him, he's like, you're the heart of this group. You're the one who holds us all together. You're the moral compass of all of us. So I think Mother's Milk is underappreciated in terms of the show, because I think other people get funnier stuff, or these people have superpowers, so they're a lot of fun. But I just want to give respect to Mother's Milk, because it's also hard to be a character named Mother's Milk and not sound fucking stupid.
And he even said in some interviews, oh, we'll find out why he's called Mother's Milk this season. I know from the comics, I guess he has to drink his mother's milk to maintain his superpowers. He has to breastfeed even at an older age. But they didn't work it into this at all. I figured they...
Wait, Mother's Milk has superpowers?
Yeah, I think Frenchie has superpowers too. I think
What?
the boys have superpowers, except maybe Huey, but I think even he gets powers at the end.
Sure.
I think in the comics, after they kill Homelander, it's Butcher is the main villain, and Butcher kills everybody.
Yeah. Well... Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to... real quick, back to season 2, you had the whole thing with Stormfront, who, kind of cameos in the first 2 episodes of this season. Yeah. Do you know how Stormfront is defeated in the comic books?
Mm-mm. I know it's a dude.
So Stormfront's a dude, and he still gets stomped out kind of the same way as in the show, but it isn't... They changed it from... in the show, it's...
girls get it done. Where in the comic books, Stormfront's talking to Butcher, and Stormfront says something about like World War II, and then Butcher says like, "Oh, well, you know, the Brits defeated you in World War II." And then Mother's Milk walks up once the Americans showed up, and then Frenchie comes in. He's like, "And the French," and then there's like, I guess some Russian hero that they team up with, and he's like, "And the Russians showed up too." And so it's just the four of them. It's like it's a World War II reference of like all these nations coming together, stopping at Stormfront. I was like, "Oh, that's a funny bit." Like that is much funnier than what the show did.
Sure.
But I like what the show did. It's just
the cringy aspect of them like marketing towards, you know, oh, women are tough and you know, I don't need no man sort of mentality is all like so embarrassing in the show, but exactly what corporations do. Like we just went through June, which is like Pride Month, and seeing all corporations like change their logos on Twitter for about 30 days and then not give a shit and keep donating to anti-gay groups afterwards.
Yep.
That's another thing when they're at Votland and they had like LGB turkey legs and just like all these really pandering obvious social justice warrior stuff, but they'd have that, and then they would have like the Vought gun shows, and they would play to that crowd, and like they don't really give a shit about anybody. They'll play to any sort of demographic as long as they can slap a superhero on it.
Money's money, man.
Yeah. Let's see. I really like Deep doing the, you know, when the pandemic happened and you had like Gal Gadot and Kristen Wiig singing Imagine.
Yeah.
And then so they did this and they didn't even change the song. I'm surprised. Figured they would find something similar to it.
I wonder how much that cost for them to use Imagine.
Yeah, that's expensive. That's a Beatles song, you know? Or at least a Paul McCartney song.
Or maybe it doesn't count if different people sing it in chunks at a time.
I don't know. I would think so.
I would think it, because it's the whole song.
Yeah. Or a
good
portion of the song. And then so you get to see like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis and Patton Oswalt and all these people do these really embarrassing versions of that. And then they do with A-Train what's her name? Kylie Jenner with the Pepsi.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, that's one of the things I love about The Boys is they're able to just take our normal world and lampoon it, but they don't even have to, like, change it all that much. Like, we as a world is such a joke anyways. You just have to do a slight parody, and it's so completely comical and ridiculous.
And I don't remember if they ever did it in season 1 or 2, but I'm surprised we haven't seen any of these these superheroes like date a celebrity. Like they got, you know, Margot Robbie or something to guest star in an episode, and it's like, oh, A-Train, who's that on your arm? It's Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, they acknowledge that, yeah, these are the biggest celebrities in the world, are the heroes, but there's also still movie stars.
Yeah, normal people.
Yeah,
that would have been.
Yeah, I'm just surprised they haven't really done that, just as like a joke of, you know, it would have been a fun scene of, you know, A-Train or something, and I'm just going to keep saying Margot Robbie because that's just what I picked. Like, they're on the red carpet and they're waving and stuff, and they go inside and they're just like having a big argument because she's like, no, fuck you, man, fuck you. She's like, you need to hit your mark next time. It's like, I'm the best actress here. It's like, you fucking suck, and whatever, and they just, you know, leave. But I don't know, I just thought that, I'm surprised they haven't done that.
And like, we got Charlize Theron as like the recast Stormfront in their big movie at the beginning. I'm surprised we didn't see anything like behind the scenes with her, because we cut to like a red carpet premiere and we're talking to the director and all the stars. It would have been nice to have her show up as well, but they probably had her for a day and squeezed her in the costume and get it done real quick.
Can I just say, back to the A-Train, Kylie Jenner
Pepsi thing.
Pepsi thing. This is just a me thing, and I recognize how minuscule it is in comparison to everything, but the thing about that commercial that really bothered me is the look of the can was so cheap looking.
Okay.
Like, you know how you're watching a movie and it's like everything in this movie's fake, but it's designed not to look fake.
Sure.
And then you see a certain product and like, that doesn't even look real. It
Yeah,
looks
I
like
don't
they just
even
took
remember
a Coke can or whatever and then just like printed out blue thing with A-Train written on it and just like taped it around. I don't know. In my mind, I just remember it looking like really, really bad. Like that wouldn't look good on a shelf.
Yeah.
And once again, like I acknowledge that this is just a me thing, but I hate like looking at a fake product in a movie or TV show and going like, oh, that looks even too fake for this.
Yeah.
And it takes me out of it because like you guys didn't put any like the props department didn't give a shit. It's like, oh, it's in one shot. It's like, yeah, but I still notice it.
Yeah, but I will give props to the prop department because they do make a ton of like there's A-Train cigarettes and all these characters on everything.
Yeah, I want to say I'm not calling out the props department and saying you guys are bad at your job. I'm just saying like
this one design choice
this
is
one
not...
design choice is like it needed to look more inspired or something because it didn't look like a product anyone would want to drink.
Is there anything you specifically want to talk about before we get to the final episode? I know there's a lot that happens in this, and I don't want to skip anything, but like I'm itching to get to this final episode.
I mean, I guess back to Herogasm, it was nice seeing Butcher and Huey and Soldier Boy team up, and that was a fun fight.
One of the best episodes, for sure.
That was a good bit.
And seeing Homelander actually scared and like confused, like I just love Butcher getting back up and him going like, "What the fuck?" Like Homelander is so on it. Like he could hear he heard what's her name like trying to text on a phone. He was able to tell Giancarlo Esposito's like blood pressure because he could hear his heart rate, and it's like he's so aware of everything that's going on. For him to be taken aback by this was really great to see.
And just his Butcher's bloody smile, just like
Butcher,
man, I'm still here.
He's got the faces this season. They cut to him so many times, and he looks absolutely insane when he's going nuts with the Temp V. It's some of the best screen caps, and I've seen like people tweet them, and they're just so damn funny because he's just like reveling in this whole idea of like scorched earth, which is Homelander comes to him and says like, this should be a you versus me thing and not all this other stuff and none of this political bullshit or corporate bullshit. It should just be you and me in a drag out fight. And like, absolutely. And that's kind of what I was hoping for towards the end of this. And we didn't really get the scorched earth that I wanted. But we'll get to it.
Starlight.
Oh, poor Starlight. There was like 4 episodes in a row where like we see her in the past doing the pageants and she does the like gripping her thumb to like she has to smile and grin and bear it. And then there's a scene where Huey pretty much tells her, "I'm going to do this without you. So sorry." And then like seeing her friend Supersonic get murdered, having to date Homelander and just put on a happy face, and she's just
I'm glad that wasn't like an all season long thing though. That was like an episode where she
it kind of came and went. And that's another thing. Like if I was living in that world, like didn't we just see her at the premiere of that movie with that Huey guy? Like now she's dating Homelander. Something seems a little bit fishy. But she just had like a hell of a time this season, just constantly getting shit on. But it was nice that at the end of Herogasm, she got to go on her Instagram Live and really just tell it how it is.
Yeah. Going back to, talking about characters' backstories and seeing that kind of stuff, going back to The Boys Diabolical, in the final episode with Homelander, he's like on stage for the first time, is like, well, back on my Little League baseball team, the White Tigers, and I play with my dad, and yada, yada, yada. It just, like, there's moments in the show where these guys are, like, not just Homelander, but other heroes are talking about, like, their past and, like, oh, they did this thing. And then some other character will be like, well, you just made that up, like, or, like, that was created for you from the team. It's like, especially in our world now, like, I feel like there's so many filters of BS that everyone would be able, like, especially if they're the most obsessed with people on the planet, there's no backstory you could fake, I feel like.
Yeah. Like, you would think that there would be some... It'd be one thing, it's like, look, I came from a small town where I was raised by a religious family and we were Amish, so there's not a lot of record of me. Once I became Homelander, my whole past is still pretty much a mystery. But when you say like I played on a baseball team,
it's like, yeah,
who are the teammates?
Yeah, who are the teammates? Well, that's school. That's a real school. Okay, I'm gonna look up. Okay, you never attended that. Like it'd be so easy to find out a lot of this information. It's just I wish there was any like real thought into that, because it just like I understand like you make that backstory to make yourself look better and more approachable and make your numbers go up because like, oh, he's like one of us, just happens to have superpowers. But it's so easy to figure out that that's a lie. I'm surprised like there's not like news outlets. Or, I mean, I guess you could write around like, well,
They
Walt
control
paid
the
them
news.
off, or
Yeah.
whatever. But just like I bet if this world existed, I could go on Reddit and within an hour, people on Reddit be like, here's 15 things why that's a crock of shit.
Yeah.
But we don't have that in the show, and it's fine. It's just something that bothers me that the show, both the animated and the live action, does, where they'll just come up with some bullshit. It's like that'd be so easy to figure out.
Yeah. Let's see. Once again, another season where Maeve doesn't get a whole lot to do. She really gets kind of sidelined a lot. It's a shame. But I still like her.
Yeah.
Yes. Like
I like
her
me
being
too.
captured by Homelander and just like, yeah, I may be captured and you may be harvesting my ovaries or whatever, but this is a good day because I see you scared and I see that you can actually get injured. It's little things like that were quite good, but she just doesn't get a lot of time, a lot of screen time, and I really like Queen Maeve.
Yeah, and stuff happens in the final episode, which we'll get into. That there's an aspect that I liked, which was immediately undercut with what I didn't like. But we'll get to that. Is there any other characters we want to talk about? I mean, Huey was kind of annoying this
Huey's
season.
kind of a dick.
Head Popper is
Insane. Yeah, I really like that scene with her and Starlight and just being threatening of like giving her the littlest nosebleed. Like, I could do this at any time. But I really want to know, can she pop Homelander's head?
Yeah, how strong is her power?
And would it kill her to do it, or is all his material so strong that she couldn't even make it pop?
I could see it being a thing where she's like looking at him and you see his nosebleed or something and you're like, oh shit, he's gonna die. And then her brain explodes or something because it's like, I'm just too strong for you. Like it strained her so much that she exploded her own head.
And I think
or he would just laser her head off,
like,
obviously.
It may take her 30 seconds to build up the power to do it, but he could just laser her in a second.
Right.
So she would have to do it from afar. So we end the season with her again being like the big threat. So
heading to the vice presidency, which I imagine
cool.
will be quickly into the presidency. And I know a big finale piece in the comics is set in the White House.
Okay.
So I think that's probably where season 4. I mean, this could be the final season 4. But if it goes to 5, if season 4 is like her way to the White House and then season 5 is her in the White House, then it's like, okay, I know where this is going.
Well, like this season, we had a 1 year jump between seasons, or 8 months, or something like that.
Something like that.
So I can see us getting a little bit of that next season, where you start off, the president has fallen sick, and yada yada yada, and now our new president is this person, and just kind of jumping past some of that. Because I think if we go to 5, 4 will be the beginning of Scorched Earth. And then season 5 will be, the end, the ramifications of all that. Huey was kind of a dick. Starlight got a bad rap for everything.
I think that's all the major characters.
Pretty much.
I mean, Black Noir had his whole cartoon world, and you saw his origins, because his origin is very different in the comics as well.
Because he's just a clone of Homelander.
But this is a black man in an all-black costume with a name that just means black.
Yep. And, wants to get his face out there, but because of the times, they don't want a black man on the team. And then he tries to do a thing without the mask on, gets completely burnt, and then gets his face and throat smashed in by Soldier Boy, and then turns into a crazy person.
Yeah, what do you think about all the animated Friends
liked
stuff?
it.
I did too.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was a fun kind of concept of, here's this guy whose brain is messed up, so he can see these, and he can't speak, so he has these cartoon things in his mind. And I liked that you didn't see Soldier Boy commit the violence against him and make Noir the way he is. I liked that it was the animated version, because it was both fucked up and fun, and in a show that's always so awful, sometimes it's nice to kind of take a break from it, even if the animation is still kind of fucked up. So I don't know. It was a surprise because we've never seen him do that before, but it was a fun bit, and I'm cool with it.
I had this feeling that even though we can't hear Black Noir, Homelander would always like ask him a question, and then we wouldn't hear anything, and he'd be like, I love you, buddy. I know you'd always be there. I figured he was like, he could still vocalize a little bit, but it's so low that we can't even hear it. But with Homelander's hearing, they actually can communicate that way. But I guess not.
Yeah.
But I do think a lot of that gets undercut when Homelander just kills him. And I don't know if maybe he used him, not necessarily against Soldier Boy, but like as a, let me give you Black Noir as a sacrifice to like an olive branch. I want you to join with me because we learn Soldier Boy is at least genetically is Homelander's father. And it'd be like, look, join my team. I'll give you this. And like maybe he's taken off Black Noir's arms and legs. And it's like, you can finish him off, Dad. But just like, oh, you didn't tell me about it. I'm going to punch you in the stomach and kill you.
Yeah, and I feel like their mission was to make Black Noir someone you felt bad for and you like wanted to see get away or wanted to have a happy ending. But like, it's hard to connect with a character who doesn't speak.
Yeah.
And you haven't seen his face or any real emotional reaction other than that one episode that it's a flashback to a guy who, like, maybe if it was a famous person we've seen from something, it's like, oh, okay, I can kind of, like, have an image in my mind, but it's just, like, some dude who I've never seen anything else. It's like there was nothing really to connect me to Black Noir, and you tried to make it, oh, well, like, you like him because he's cutesy and can see cartoons. And, like, oh, the cartoons are crying because he's dying now. But it's like, you just introduced those cartoon characters an episode ago. Yeah. It's like, so when he died, I felt nothing. I didn't care. It's like, yeah, he was the least worst person on the team, but he's still a bad person.
Still a bad person.
Yeah, like
he killed lots of people.
Yeah, he killed lots of people, and he covered up lots of stuff. Yeah, so him dying didn't surprise me, but it also didn't make me feel bad. And I wanted to. I like emotionally connecting with characters, but once he was gone, I was like, okay, I guess Black Noir isn't on the show anymore. That's fine.
So let's just talk about the final episode.
Let's do it.
All right. I was very disappointed with this episode. I had the highest of expectations, and I know that's my own fault. And I do like that it's just in Vought Tower. They're just fighting in like office spaces, you know, in a conference room and the news desk area. It wasn't around the city and crumbling buildings. It wasn't this huge spectacle. It was just fighting inside an office, and I really liked that. But
it felt like the production ran out of money and like, okay, we need to have this last fight in the office.
Yeah, it needs to be a little more simple. And it also felt like, for how dark and subverting our expectations of what a superhero show is, it feels like maybe they shot an ending. It was kind of messed up, kind of dark, killed off a bunch of characters, and really shook things up. And like the studio came in and went, look, we don't give you a lot of notes. We let you do the big penis thing and exploding people from the inside. And hell, you even had your own orgy and people got smushed.
There's a butthole on screen at one point.
You see a butthole, a taint, testicles, and a huge penis all in one shot. Like, insane that was on a TV show. But we draw the line here. Can we have it be a little more hopeful? Can we maybe not have everyone die? And then they almost like had to have a rewrite to have a happier, more optimistic ending. And it just felt not like The Boys. So like you have Butcher doing the, you know, he cares for Huey, so he knocks him out to keep him away from doing the 10 feet. All that makes sense. We have this mission. We need to kill Homelander. We get this opportunity to kill Homelander, and it's like, oh no, wait, the kid's gonna die too. Don't do this. And then they start fighting. Butcher and Soldier Boy start going at it, and it's like, guys, you have you both want Homelander dead. Just talk it out and get this fucking thing done. And you can both have everything that you wanted, but like, no, I'm going to have a last second change because I care about the kid. And if Soldier Boy is going to blast Homelander and the kid, both of them would just turn human. It doesn't necessarily kill them because Kamiko survived, and as we see, another character survives later. So even if he blasted them and it took out a chunk of the building or whatever, they'd still be alive. And now Butcher, here's your ex-wife's kid is a normal human, and you can raise it like your own son. But then he's like, no, you can't do that. And it's like, you hate Homelander so much. you should be sacrificing this kid to get Homelander, or at least be willing to sacrifice the kid because he has this fucked up genetics and he's the spawn of your ex-wife being raped. I don't care the relationship you've built with him. He would have let that happen.
No, well, I'll disagree with you. I mean, I get the frustration, but there's my problem with that is there was multiple ways to get out of that situation. Not counting all right, let him blast him and they both become human. Like the whole time I was waiting for Butcher to just turn to Maeve and go, Maeve, grab the kid, and then they fight. Or it's like Soldier Boy starts Soldier Boy hit the kid against the wall, but then that should have been his cue. Or even if you have to like throw Soldier Boy away for a second, go like, okay, Butcher should have grabbed the kid. And I could have seen the kid go like, hey, like, let me go. I need to help my dad. He's like, sorry, kid. And then he just knocks the kid out because he knows the kid's going to live.
Yeah.
If he could just like knock the kid out
Sure.
and put it in that, like, now the kid's away in another room. Problem
Here,
solved.
Mother's Milk, you take the kid and you go.
There's multiple people in the room who could have taken the kid and they could have just had their big fight, but it's just, no, we need him to be conscious so like no one does the crazy thing. By no means do I think Butcher should have or would have done anything to harm Jason? Is that
Starts
the kid's
with
name?
an A, I think. Alex, Ellen, Ryan.
Ryan. Thank you. Yeah. So, because we've already established that Butcher protects people that he cares about very much like Huey. So why would he do it to the one thing that is the connection to his now dead wife? But yeah, that whole bit was silly. I didn't like the fact that Soldier Boy was gonna explode, and Maeve grabbed him and jumped out the window and sacrificed herself. Like first off, I liked that Maeve got to fight Homelander for a bit.
Oh yeah,
that was fun. And just I hate eye gougers. Eye gougers are so fucking brutal.
But I love how like nuts she goes after it, and just like, okay, all bets are off. I'm going to die in the next few seconds, so I need to go as hard as I can.
And I like that she's like hitting him, and like you can tell it's hurting Homelander, but still he's just like, all right, come on, like,
knock it off,
knock it off. Like, and she just like keeps punching him in the face, like, I'm serious, this isn't funny anymore. Like,
it's like a cat attacking you. You know it hurts and it's fucking you up, but it's like, I can destroy you, cat, if I really wanted to. You're just being obnoxious.
Yeah. So I thought that was fun because it really goes to show like how strong, like Maeve can take on a armored van going 80 miles an hour at her and not move an inch, and she punched this guy full force and he's still kind of like, hey, cut it out. It really goes to show like how strong Homelander fucking is. But anyway, back to that. So yeah, Maeve. I like that Maeve was willing to sacrifice herself for the group. Like, she's a hero who's done a lot of, like, she didn't save the people on the plane. That's her big regret. And so this is her hero moment. And so she sacrificed herself, and then Soldier Boy explodes. The day's saved, but then she's still fucking alive.
And I get it. She gets hit with the blast. She turns human.
She can be with her lover now.
Sure.
It's nice.
But the fall would have killed her. I mean, we don't know how long it takes for the power to completely leave your body, and she was still pretty messed up. But I'm pretty sure she would have, if the explosion didn't kill her, the power of turning her back human and then the fall would have killed her. And it really, really undercut everything.
We did see the footage of her being alive, and she was near dumpsters. Everyone knows no matter how
That's true.
how high you fall, if you land in a dumpster with garbage in it, you're going to be fine.
If there's a couple bags of trash on the ground, you're good.
Yeah, it's never filled with like shattered glass or anything.
No, people didn't throw away like a bag of doorknobs that they had lying around. It's all, they're throwing away those pillows.
Yeah, it's always pillows.
Marshmallow fluff, feathers, it's all those things.
Yeah. But yeah, Maeve should have died.
Maeve should have died.
Because she could have had her hero arc, and that would have been the tragic bittersweetness of it is she didn't get to be with the woman she loves or whatever. Because we were all really clamoring for that relationship in the show. Like, who cares?
And so there was a bit of squabbling before they get to the fight where they're like, we need to stop Soldier Boy. He's too dangerous. And then she turns on Starlight and goes, yes, but Homelander needs to die. And it's really frustrating that the we need to kill Soldier Boy team doesn't see that as well. Like, look, yeah, he's a menace and he's probably going to take down Vought Tower if we don't do something, but you need to use him to kill Homelander. Like, he's not a greater threat.
Yeah.
And
it's like Homelander has super speed. He can fly. Like, yeah,
Soldier Boy is as strong as Homelander. He's the one person who could kill him, but like Homelander has extra powers that make him far more dangerous.
He's fast and he can fly. He could just pick him up, fly him into space, and leave him there if he wanted to.
It's just like one is a rocket launcher, one's a machine gun. It's like, yeah, that machine gun can hurt a lot of things, but that rocket launcher can destroy the entire building.
Yeah.
We should probably take out the rocket launcher first.
Yeah. So I could see Maeve's frustration, like, okay, no, we need to save Soldier Boy, and then having to sacrifice herself to try to like save everybody else and potentially kill Soldier Boy. But even he survives, which he should, because it's not like he exploded. He's
used that power a bunch of times.
Uses power, but it was like all this just to put him back in a tube.
Yeah,
that's it.
Just back to square one.
Back to square one.
I mean, he's I guess under the control of Vought now, as opposed to, and maybe they do some cool stuff with that. But yeah, and I mean, I like that. And we both established we like Jensen Ackles on the show and Soldier Boy. It's like I wouldn't be upset seeing him come back at all. But it just seems like this was the season you bring him in, and he's a one-off. He's your Oberyn from Game of Thrones. It's like he's a cool character who comes in, does his part, dies, and then
that's it.
But
and it's like there's no point in putting him back in a deep freeze unless you're going to bring him back. But if we're only going to go a few more seasons, do you really want to pull this out when I bet you have so many other interesting characters you can create for this? I just feel they should have just killed him off. And so that brings me to Starlight. What a worthless, useless character in this final fight.
Let me tell you, I
pathetic.
have never been more frustrated with a sequence in a show in a while. And that's probably not true. But, like, they had this whole moment where she's in the fight. She's getting tossed around. Like in every superhero fight, everyone's just getting tossed around all the time. Fine, whatever. I can let that go because everyone does it. But they have this moment where Huey's like, oh, I can either take this temp V or I can turn all the lights on to give her a power boost, which I like that idea. It's like, I thought that was cool. And then you see her summon all this power, and then she shoots it, and she just knocks the guy over. It's like, then what was the point of it?
What was the point? Oh, she can fly now. So? Who cares? I don't care.
That was so lame. Like, it should have at least, like, burned a hole through his, like, shirt or something.
I think it should have burned his eyes and all of his hair off, and then he's just like, you bitch, I can't believe it, fuck you all, and he's just gonna go nuts with the blast. And that's when Maeve does her thing, because if you're just gonna throw him in a tube and freeze him away, do some damage. And at least that would show Starlight's power.
Yeah, because it made it like that whole sequence is built up. Like, look, she's doing it. She's in her final form. It's just like, imagine it's like, I'm just going to go back to rocket launchers or whatever. It's like you had a handgun that suddenly turned into a rocket launcher, and then you fired it, and then it like was
did the damage of a handgun.
It just felt like someone throwing a paintball at you. It's like, ow, that kind of hurt. But then it immediately got back up. It did nothing.
It did nothing.
It's just like, it just shows that, like you said, oh, Starlight can fly now. I guess that may be helpful next season. But like, this should have been Starlight's moment.
Yeah.
Like, this is where she's been the most powerful. She has her ultimate attack. Like, this is the anime moment where she's like using the Kamehameha wave to defeat the boss, and it does nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, this whole sequence sucked. I hated that part.
And shouldn't she have been doing this to Homelander? Homelander is the one that's been oppressing her like this whole season. She should have been fighting him. And it's like, Maeve wants to fight or wants to get rid of Homelander. Starlight wants to get rid of Soldier Boy. And no, I'm sorry, I messed that all up. Like they want to get rid of Homelander, but they end up with their big finale being with Soldier Boy. And it seemed opposite. You would think that whatever you do with Soldier Boy and you get rid of him, the Starlight's big confrontation should have been with Homelander. Like, how dare you put me through all this bullshit?
Here's my pitch.
God, shoot it.
So here's how the final fight with Starlight and Homelander goes down. She's getting her ass kicked, obviously, because she just can't compete with this guy. And, they do the thing where maybe they even give her some light or whatever, but Homelander kind of sees through the ruse, and maybe they, like, think like, oh, if we lead Homelander here, we're at a football stadium, we'll turn the lights on. And he's like, nope, I see what you're doing. And he cuts all of them down or something. And then, but that's all a decoy because like he shoots his laser beams and she shoots her star. And then, they're doing that whole like Harry Potter, like our energy beams are touching thing. And she's about to lose. And then you see Butcher from the sidelines like, hey, cunt face or whatever, check this out. And then like all like the entire stadium is all of a sudden like everyone's got flashlights or something. And they all turn on. And then you just see Starlight's like energy get speed. Like, and then that's when she uses her big final blast. And then like that's when she burns Homelander's eyes. He can't. He's like, oh god damn it, he can't see. And then that's when they all come in and I don't know, stomp him like they did with Storm. Like that's how you do that power in a fun way. I think.
No,
is it overplayed and cheesy? Maybe. But it would have been better than this bullshit. God, that made me angry.
Huge charge up just to push him back.
Yeah.
And if it was
Ow, you knocked me down.
Yeah, like Mother's Milk is shooting at him and he's backing up because they're trying to get him to a window so they can knock him out or whatever. And her big power pushes him way back, even with his shield, something like that. That'd be fine. But this is like, oh, here comes the killing blow. And it's nothing.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it on the pod. I really thought Homelander was going to... This was before I knew that Soldier Boy was Homelander's father, but I thought he was going to do okay, Soldier Boy's coming after me. I'm going to call a meeting, and I'm going to get every executive. I'm going to get all these low-level heroes. They're all going to come into the building to, one, not really protect me, but at least be some sort of barrier that if Soldier Boy comes, he has to get through all these people first, and maybe he wouldn't want to kill all those people. But then once Soldier Boy gets in, Homelander leaves, and he levels Vought Tower. He kills all the executives, all these low-level heroes, hoping he would also be killing Soldier Boy in the collapse. And this would be his, once again, scorched earth moment. Fuck Vought. I'm not your puppet anymore. I'm the one that people love, and I have the power to rule. I don't need this corporate backing. And it would be the start of him, taking out governments one by one. And I thought we'd get a little of it with the explosion with Soldier Boy, but we just got a little damage to Vought Tower. But, once again, this is just like me not getting the stuff that I wanted. But I thought we were going to get something a little bit bigger. And, maybe you would kill the Deep in this and you wouldn't expect, or Black Noir, and Ashley would die within the building too. And cut to Giancarlo just like drinking a drink, like going, whew, got out of there just in time. I just expecting something a little more. It didn't necessarily have to be bigger, but something a little more gasp-worthy. All the gasp-worthy things kind of happened earlier, and nothing was gasp-worthy in this finale.
Yeah, and then, we get to the final big moment of the show at the end where Homelander comes to his loving crowd of card-carrying American people who love him so much. And he just kills that one protester who's just like, fuck you, Homelander. And then Ryan just smiles because he's like, finally, has his dad that he's always wanted.
Yeah.
And it's like, honestly, I don't give a shit about Ryan at all.
No, it feels like that's going to be the next few seasons of convincing Ryan that Homelander is a bad dude and he's the only one that's going to be able to stop him, which I think is a little boring because we just had like this Soldier Boy story of he's the only one strong enough to stop him, and are we just going to be doing that same thing?
No, I really don't see them going, well, Ryan needs to be the one to take down Homelander, because I mean they have established on the show just like he's years away from doing that. He's too young. I mean, I think at best, it'll be because Ryan knows his dad is a piece of shit, but I think at this point it's just like, I'll take anyone who loves me. Yeah. Because I trusted Butcher. He sucks. My mom's dead. So, like, Homelander's the only family I have left. Yeah, he's a psycho, but, like...
But he forgave me for killing Mom.
Yeah, and he's going to look after me. It's like, oh, my dad is the greatest superhero on the planet. Like, what kid...
And I can be the same.
Yeah, and I'm Kid Homelander. I don't know what...
Kid Crusader. Let's see. Homeland American...
Amerikid? Is that a thing?
Amerikid. That's kind of good.
All right, we'll go with Amerikid.
Amerikid.
Yeah, and he's Amerikid now, and it's like father son fighting crime, but they're just like killing indiscriminately. I don't like. That could be a fun dynamic, and Butcher trying to like pull the kid back. But I think you'll just have the kid like realize, oh, I shouldn't murder innocent people, or yeah, my dad is kind of fucked up, and help, but he won't. He's not going to be. Or maybe it'd be fun if Homelander just kills his own son. He's just like, fuck it. If I can't control him, no one is. And then just, kills his own son. It's like, oh, man, they're killing children on the show.
I don't see it. It's the one thing that he probably knows he can... Like, now that he's kind of lost the love of so many other people, this is an easier one to manipulate. Younger than you, easy to influence. You're also a soup. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where I want the show to go in season 4. Wherever I think I want it to go, it's so crazy and out there. Mm-hmm. It's gonna surprise me no matter what.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I was really hoping for end of days Homelander really off the rails, because like he's still backed by Vought. Vought's still a thing. Yeah, he has kind of more of a neo-Nazi Proud Boys fan base now, but is Vought gonna allow that? Or are they going to be even able to tell him what to do anymore? It just seems like we're almost in the same place, but more is revealed, but everybody's cool with it. So it's like Homelander's still the number one guy. He's just more violent, and everybody's rolling with the punches. Yeah. It kind of would have been nice to see if Vought was completely taken down. And I even had this idea of like maybe he would give a bunch of Temp V to a bunch of junkies and convicted criminals and just like spread it out, and then for 24 hours you have all these people who should not have powers running amok, and then him just flying above the world going, you solve your problems now, and him just letting the world kind of destroy itself. And like, well, if you would have just loved me unconditionally, I could have saved all this, but I'm gonna let you do your thing. And then that's him kind of letting the boys, kind of weed themselves out, trying to stop all these other villains.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is probably where, not necessarily give it out to drug addicts or whatever, but I think, now that Homelander clearly has his Homelander army, I would not be surprised if he does give out a bunch of samples of just like, oh, these people are coming for me, I'll slow them down with this or whatever, I'll cause mass chaos. It's like, oh, these people are never going to harm me, so here's this shit, and now I have a super-powered army that only listens to me. Yeah. So I think that'll be the big thing next season is Homelander's private army. Just taking on the Capitol,
Yeah.
The episode will be released on January 6th.
Oh, yeah, we will definitely have a scene like that. A podium guy, a guy wearing a fuzzy pantsuit with horns, a guy stealing the flag. We're absolutely going to get January 6th parodies. I think Butcher will probably take normal V, because like his brain is Swiss cheese now and he can't take the temp anymore. Maybe if he takes the permanent, it could have enough healing powers to help that. Or he realized if he's going to go in the next few months anyways, I might as well go all out.
We'll see.
But I don't know what like any of the, I'm glad like Huey and Starlight stay together. Like I hate it when shows break up good couples just for the sake of drama, and it worked for this season because of what his selfishness. But I'm glad they're back together, and I'm glad she's like actually part of the boys now.
This just came into my mind as you were talking about the Capitol riot. I have a pitch for a joke for the boys, and I don't know if this joke's been done like in SNL or some other thing, but it's like, so you mentioned that guy who has like the buffalo head or whatever. It's like, wouldn't it be funny if they did a spoof on Scholastic Rock where it's like Buffalo Bill, and it's the Bill, but with that outfit on, it's just like, I'm just a Bill, and Buffalo Capitol Hill. And it's just like, but he's just like, it's not teaching about like the process of making a bill, it's the process of like overthrowing the government.
Okay. But Buffalo Bill is also from
I understand that,
of the Lambs,
but
maybe a little confused. But so like maybe if he just had that voice of the put the lotion in the basket voice while as he's singing, there's something there.
I just imagine like, because you have the Scholastic Rock Bill thing on the Capitol with the...
But that guy, he does have
Buffalo
a name.
Bill, and I know he has a name, and I know it's not Buffalo Bill.
But he has another sort of weird thing. But yeah.
That's just my joke pitch.
They would just have someone who was given Compound V, and maybe he is just like an animal minotaur man, and he's just storming the Capitol as a minotaur.
Oh, yeah, that's what you do with your... with your Homeland army, you have them. Yeah, I'm calling it now. That's going to be the big thing next season. I'm not sure if that's going to be like the final episode, but it'll be Homelander giving his followers Temp V in some form, and then them trying to overthrow the government, and then it's going to be President Homelander.
And so they'll kill. What is the senator's name who's now vice president? I always forget her name.
I forget her name too.
I keep wanting to call her Reva, but that's from
Senator Gorgeous Face. Now, my phone's dead. That's right. I can't look it up.
Yeah, I can see it's like, I can't stop her, but maybe I can send waves and waves of these fucking morons, and she could pop as many heads as she wants, but maybe it takes a lot out of her to do that, and gets enough heads popped, and then I can swoop in and take her out.
One weirdo in Temp V like steal her shoes, like they did with AOC.
Yep, people shitting on the walls, and God, yeah, there's gonna be some real funny shit. And let's hope the world hasn't destroyed itself.
Gotten even worse since then.
Well, it definitely will. There's gonna be some Roe versus Wade stuff.
Oh, sure.
Oh God, what a wonderful world.
What if Homelander was aborted?
Good. I think you just helped our case. Let's see. I was a little disappointed with like Kamiko got the shit kicked out of her. There's no way she should have survived.
No.
Even after she lost her powers, or like when she has her powers, okay, cool, she heals and stuff. She lost her powers and just got stomped on and still survived. And I think it was a little cheap that you inject the compound V and she's fine again. I felt like there needed to be either a twist where it gives you a different power, because like once you get it and it's taken away, it's a random luck of the draw, or it mutates in some way and it doesn't work. It gives you I don't know, the opposite of your power. Maybe she starts decaying instead of healing. I don't know. It just felt like such a cheap and easy way, and that's all they're going to do with Butcher. Like, oh no, what are you going to do? Your brain is full of holes. I don't know. Give you Temp V. Okay. Or Compound V.
Yeah.
And
so now you're full blown. Yeah.
And now you're fine again.
Yeah. And like I would honestly prefer if Queen Maeve never comes back, but I imagine there's going to come a time where she takes either Temp V or Compound V and she becomes Queen Maeve again in order to like come back and save the day and then probably die or something. I don't know, but like I would much rather her. Not that I like Queen Maeve and I like that actress, but I'd be okay if she never comes back.
Yeah, no, her story's done.
Yeah.
She went through a bunch of shit. She gets her happy ending, even if it is just like hiding in the shadows. And I really liked that. Oh fuck! I just said her name. The one with the hair, pulling out her hair.
Rachel? I don't know.
Fuck. But like she deleted the footage of Maeve, and so like I think that scene says she's done, because you wouldn't have done that if you wanted Homelander to find out she survived and he goes and seeks her out. Now that you've gotten rid of the evidence that she is alive, we probably won't see her.
Let's hope. Real quick, can I just say the actress who was pulling her hair out, man, A+ performance this season.
Yeah,
I thought she was great.
She's one of the best.
I'm glad they gave her more to do, because she's always just been the background press secretary and she's like there for a funny bit or whatever, just to like eat shit from a superhero. But man, was she having so much fun on set this season. I thought she was great. I loved her.
Yeah.
Just shout out to that actress.
From the hair pulling to the like talking to the news pundit about like which dildo, or like that she's gonna have sex with him with this huge Homelander dildo, to like seeing A-Train stuff and having to like, oh wow, this new series that you have is going to be amazing, and lying through her teeth about everything. She's fantastic, and she was on Fear the Walking Dead, or like when season 2 was out, like both. She was on both of them at the same time, and she's one of the big villains in that, and she's really good. And I don't know her from anything else besides these two things, and I'm gonna follow her career because she is great. And she looked like Gollum when she took the wig off.
For sure.
I really love that scene of Homelander just like, I was told my team would be my family, and I'm left with the Deep and A-Train and you who is pulling your hair out due to stress, and like you're all just absolutely pathetic, which really fueled my thought of he's going to take the tower down and kill all of them. But I love this season. May have not have been the greatest ending, and a little cliche, a little obvious, and not as dynamic and unexpected as I expected it to be. But still, all around, a very good season. Like every episode leading up was just fantastic.
Good times had by all.
Yep. So what are we doing next week, Steve?
Next week is our big Marvel episode.
Oh, yes.
And I feel like we've had a lot of Marvel episodes, but this one's...
Well, there's a lot of Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Have you seen that graph of, like, through the years, the amount of hours of Marvel entertainment that has been released? And it's like, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours throughout. And then this year it's like 88 hours because there's just so much TV.
Right.
Yeah, where Steve wasn't able to see Thor 4, more Thor.
Quite sore.
Written by Gino Linetti. Do you remember that episode? In Brooklyn Nine-Nine, they're like, Gino, what have you been up to? And he's like, I wrote Thor 4. It's called Thor 4, more Thor. And it was like years ago. It was like one of her, like after she had been released from the show. It was one of when she came back. But yeah, Steve wasn't able to get a chance to do it, so we could do it on this episode.
Thor and 7 years ago. Yeah.
Thor 4 and 7 years ago.
Yeah, that works. Okay.
It was a little flashback of a mini story that he did.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, it's fine. It was probably good that you didn't see it and we didn't talk about it because this would have been a very long episode. And we only talked about 3 things, and 2 of the things are kind of the same things. So, yeah, next week we will be doing Thor, Love and Thunder and Miss Marvel. I think that will probably be it.
Yeah, I have a book I can talk about because you guys love my recaps of books.
and I will hopefully play The Quarry, but I have a lot of like personal things coming up, and I don't know how much time I'm going to have to see like some of these miscellaneous
Maybe I'll beat Crash Bandicoot 4.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Tune in next time.
So if you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPL Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and on Gmail. Hit us up with any of your questions, comments, and concerns. And as always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
Good night.